Hey guys, I just wanted to get out ahead of this and give you a quick disclaimer before getting into the episode. We talk about some particularly gory and unsettling topics in this one, and I just wanted to let everybody know before going into it so you're not caught off guard. If this is something that, the talk of murder and like details of it, it's stuff that you don't really like listening to or like can't really handle to hear, totally get it. I'm sort of the same way. Just wanted to let you know beforehand. But with that aside, I won't keep you any longer. I hope you enjoy.
My hamster is in fact alive.
Well, that's good to know. What do you do to usually tell?
I usually just rustle some of the stuffing in his crate, and that's usually enough to send some sound vibrations through that he's like, oh, there's someone here. Maybe I should wake up.
Is there an earthquake? Should I check?
Yeah, pretty much.
Is there some buck?
Man, it's been a fucking week. But hey, it only took us a week this time to get back into the studio. Studio as in Aubrey's bedroom.
Yep.
The studio is where the home is, though.
The studio, it turns out, in the end, the studio was inside of us all along.
Yeah, there we go.
So, yeah, once again, we have a guest joining us. If you'd like to introduce.
Our guest is Fayetteville native photographer and university student
Extraordinaire.
Taffy.
Hello.
Yes, that is his name. Do I want to elaborate? No.
Me neither.
That's not what we're here for. What we're here for is to talk about stuff and things. What all have you been up to, like, since everything started? Like, have you started up any new hobbies or anything like that? Or have you just been going hard with the photography recently?
I haven't touched my cameras since quarantine started, dude.
Well, no, you have.
Very, very briefly.
Yeah.
And I didn't end up doing anything with the photos. Like, I
know.
couldn't, because, like, one, all the photos I like are on my film, and everything's been closed, and I don't have the money to get it developed, and then I don't have access to my scanners or anything, so it's just like, why would I do anything with my film, which are going to be the good photos?
Right.
And my digitals, I'm just like, Right now I'm working on setting up a studio in my house, but that's difficult because a photo studio costs a lot of money.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
I can tell you, even just grabbing the stuff that I brought here today, equipment's expensive.
Yeah, absolutely.
The one single light that I have for my photo studio was given to me for free, and it's a $600 light.
See, that's why you gotta have mentors, ladies and gentlemen.
Or an
find
uncle
someone
who...
to. No, yeah, you just gotta you gotta get yourself somebody who can teach you what to do, and then you can take all their stuff from them whenever they retire.
Well, it was more so just like, he was like, I haven't used this in 3 years. You learn what to do with it. And then I just taught myself, because I'm pretty much entirely self-taught.
I mean, hey, same here for the most part. I messed around at a few radio stations here and there from time to time, but most of it has really just been me fucking around with Audacity or Adobe whenever I have access to it, and just trying to get comfortable with it. I guess it's a hands-on learner's curse. I don't know, it's a double-edged sword, I feel, where like I love to sit down and like just really go ham on something that I don't really have any knowledge on and just learn as I go. But at the same time, every single instructional manual or textbook that I've tried to read to teach me something or how to do something has made me want to die. And honestly has never made me learn anything, I feel. I don't know, like, I don't know if you've had the same experience, but I cannot handle instructional manuals. I read a whole page and then I look back up and go, what did I read?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like, when it comes to, like, photography in general, it's just, like, there's not really an instruction manual. It's more so, this is how a camera works. Learn it or don't do photography, because, like, if you don't know how the camera works, then it's, like, you're kind of just wasting your time.
No, I get you.
But once you learn how it works, it's kind of just figuring out, like, what individual things you want to tune.
What settings you think will help you get like the best look for the photo or what you're going for. No, yeah, I can relate. I don't know if I've ever talked to you about this, but like I was also like super into photography when I was in high school.
No, you have not.
Yeah, I'm much more of like a landscape sort of guy myself. Like, God, I could show you just an album full of just sunsets I've taken photos of. But I don't know, like
Perks of living in Fayetteville is it's really easy to take a good sunset
oh
photo.
yeah, oh my God, it's too easy. I'll tell you what, especially if you live somewhere that's like not on the ground.
Yeah, it's the pollution from the Tyson plants.
But no, my high school girlfriend got me super into photography, and I never really took any classes or anything on it. I wanted to when I came here to the university, but I just like couldn't find anything that
It's a waste of time. Don't do it.
Yeah. And I
you
guess
can't
like
teach an artistic eye, really. I mean, it's
They can
either you
only-
have it or you don't.
It's more like, yeah, because a lot of the classes are like, here's kind of our theme, here's some prompts, go with it. And then I'm like, okay, I don't want to do that, I'm going to do my own thing.
no,
And then they're
yeah.
like, we don't like that. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm paying money to be here. I'm still going to do my own thing. Thanks.
Well, hey, I mean that's your own personal journey, and you do what you gotta do to like help you learn and grow as an artist for sure. That actually reminds me a lot when I was taking that playwriting class back in school. I remember every single time that we got a prompt, I would make it a point to do either something completely different from the prompt that I was inspired by from just talking about it, or I would just do the exact opposite of what the prompt asked me to do. Because I don't know, it's almost in like. It's kind of like an anti-constraint sort of way of like, this is what you want me to do, but then almost whenever you think about what you're not allowed to do, you start to think outside of the box of what things you could be doing instead. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Kind of, but it's also like, because for me, there's never really a sense of what I'm not allowed to do. It's just how far until people get upset kind of thing.
You know what? Yeah.
With art, yeah.
Yeah, it's just like...
I mean, I feel like that's... With art, you have to push boundaries. Otherwise, like, how is it even art?
I feel like I would have gotten that too in my class if John Walsh wasn't like welcoming of that sort of thing.
Oh,
Like,
he
it's
definitely pulled me aside a few times and talked to me. He's like, what are you trying to say here? And I'm kind of worried about you. And I'm like, you asked for me to write about this. Like, what do you want from me, dude?
Okay, at my 6th grade teacher who reported me to my mom because she was concerned about my unhealthy obsession with, like, the occult and horror at the time, I requested to read Carrie for my book project, and she made my mom approve it, which she didn't think she would, but my mom was like, oh yeah, you should definitely read Carrie. It's a great book, and it was. The way, the style it's written is really interesting because it's like, some of it is done from Carrie's perspective. Some of it's the other people around her. Other is like news stories from like the town. So like that's been a Stephen King book that I really enjoyed because sometimes I feel he's long-winded.
Honestly, like as a kid, I especially like growing up when we were just starting to like do like in-depth reading and stuff like that, and having like class assignments for reading, like. There were so many banned books in my school growing up, which, I mean, is not surprising being from the Bible Belt. But...
Oh, yeah. I just want to say I fought hardcore for Twilight and did get it on the accelerated reading list.
That's so
Because I was
weird.
like, this is like 30 points. That's like a whole quarter's worth of reading. And I read them all.
Hey, who cares if it's about sparkly vampires? It's still reading, isn't it?
I've never
Yes.
had a banned book.
Really?
My school never had a banned book thing. Like, we literally, like, there were books in our library that were, like, we discovered them, and they had, like, legitimate sex scene. Like, it was not, like...
Like
not
Game of Thrones or something?
No, it was, like, hot for teacher kind of books that somehow got into our junior high library, and, like...
Somehow.
Everybody started reading it, and they were like, so we're gonna take that one away, and we're like, no, you're not.
No,
My
you're
material.
not.
Well, no, like we had stuff like The Giver and a lot of other like,
The Giver was
yeah,
banned?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that was when we had to, like, the teacher read to us in the 5th grade.
Yeah, no, I mean that was on the list.
We read To Kill a Mockingbird. And,
That's a good one.
Well, so you know how there's the part where they say the N-word? Like, there's always, like, every time you do a book, it's, like, popcorn, and it was a white dude's turn, and he was just like, no.
No.
I'm not saying was like, this was, like, junior high. My teacher was like, come on, you gotta read the word, we can't continue. And he's like, no, I'm not doing
Forcing this kid. Oh, God.
And I was like...
I remember how crazy it was reading Diary of Anne Frank in middle school, and, like, there's a brief excerpt where she is questioning her sexuality and if she maybe likes girls, and she's kind of fantasizing about that a bit. And I was ecstatic to read that, to know Anne Frank felt the same way as I did.
Well,
And everyone else was like, LOL, Anne Frank's a lesbian? And I was like, oh, yeah. Oh, no.
well, so, like, when it, like, came to the part, like, he was like, I'm not gonna do it. So he reads up to it and then points to our one black friend in the class and was like, help me. And then he says it, and then just the white dude continues reading through, and I was like,
Hey, it's popcorn.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, thinking about it, we actually watched the film instead of reading the book, but we
did
never
both.
had that problem because, sadly, in my hometown, there were a total of 2 black families, from my knowledge, and only one of them actually had a kid that went to school in my year area. It's... Oh, man.
Yeah, the diversity was not there, for sure.
But regardless,
Seems like the kid ended up doing the right thing.
yeah,
In a way, like, you know.
I was like, and
As far as Arkansas teenagers could respond.
I find that so weird that the teacher is so pushy. I don't know if that's just like a teacher power trippy thing of like, I'm not gonna let you get away with not saying the thing. So like the class doesn't like think I'm a puss or something like that. I don't know. That's so.
You can by all means skip the word.
Just a very strange hill to die on, especially
he
in
definitely,
a Fayetteville
because
school.
he was well, so I went to Springdale,
Oh, okay.
which a little bit different, but like not all that much. But I mean, I don't really know all that much about Fayetteville schools because rivals.
Gotcha.
But the teacher was like just really adamant that every word in a book got read if we were doing reading, and it was just like, can we
Not
continue?
the hill to die on.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Speaking of Arkansas teenagers, that pertains to the topic I brought in.
Oh yeah, sure, yeah. Well, what are we talking about, Aubrey?
We are continuing the journey of Aubrey's quarantine binging media.
Yes.
I've been doing a lot of driving recently, and I've been listening to the Morbid podcast, which...
Shout out Morbid.
Shout out Morbid. They're one of my favorite podcasts to listen to, because Ash and Elena do a terrific job covering most everything that needs to be covered when discussing these murders and the cases and stuff, and doing so in a respectful manner, really, while still being comedic. So, highly recommend checking them out. I recently started listening to the 4-part West Memphis 3 episodes, and those are about the child murders. There were 3 children murdered in West Memphis, Arkansas in the early 90s. Being the early 90s, that was Satanic Panic era. And that was like, they were scared that like goth kids and kids that listened to like emo metal music, like Metallica and Ozzy Osbourne, and
once again,
even U2 was stated, which that made me laugh. And they wore dark clothes and stuff. They were scared that these kids were worshiping the devil, and essentially they convicted 3 17 and 18-year-old boys for murdering these kids based on literally no physical evidence, based on a coerced confession and the assumption that they were worshiping the devil, which was literally all hearsay and all rumors being spread. And these kids went to jail for 18 years. They were released finally in like 2011, but the Arkansas court system literally never had to face any of the repercussions for like all of the way this trial was mishandled. And it's like insane. Like they asked them like, do you believe in God when questioning them? That's illegal. You cannot do that.
Yeah, it seems like there was a lot of misconduct from like the stuff that I was watching down there. Like it's strictly what's bewildering to me, and I mean, I guess it makes sense because like the parents couldn't afford to pay for it, and like they didn't have any money for the attorney.
Being from West Memphis, Arkansas, none of these people were well off, so they had to go public defender style, and obviously the West Memphis court system wasn't gonna give them a good public defender.
Of course, no.
They wanted. I understand they wanted to catch a child murderer, like to give everybody peace of mind. It's just, you really think that these teenage boys are capable of murdering 3 random little boys?
Well,
I don't know.
I mean, I guess they wouldn't know.
No, yeah. And so after listening to Morbid, I've been recently watching the Paradise Lost documentaries. There's 3 separate ones, and we've watched the first 2, and then I'm going to watch the 3rd later on, which is more about them finally getting out and stuff. But it's just shaking to see these kids get convicted on something where I'm like, oh my gosh, as a teenager, you know how much black clothing I owned, how into, like, the occult and, like, weird witchy stuff I was on, like, horror movies. I would have been convicted of murder too under those
guy. Like, I was literally like, I used to wear a long maroon trench coat, spiked bracelets, a spiked necklace collar, and listen to like ICP and Black Veil Brides.
That was legitimately one of the evidence
I was just
pieces
weird, and they were
used. They literally said Damien wears a black trench coat. Like, that was part of evidence. And I was like, that just
sounds like hearsay.
A lot of the, like, it was just insane. And
did they ever convict someone since the people got the kids
no,
got released?
So they convicted them on a specific kind of plea deal, which means they are allowed to be released and maintain their innocence, but the court system and the people that prosecuted face no repercussions in turn. So it was kind of like, because a lot of their appeals failed. The second documentary, that's what they're showing is the appeal process and how many times they got denied, even though Free the West Memphis 3 was a big group that was spread across America, a ton of people that, like ourselves, were like, I could have been these teenagers, wrong place, wrong time, just a weird outcast, and they all banded together and like raised money for them, and like eventually I know Johnny Depp did get involved towards the end when they were finally released, and apparently
Depp got involved?
Yes, him and Damien went on to be pretty good friends. And my mom was telling me they like got matching tattoos. I don't know if that's true, but like knowing Johnny Depp, it sounds pretty correct.
Hey, I mean, he's probably still got some space on there.
Oh,
Why
yeah,
not?
absolutely.
But no, also, especially, like, the shout out to that dude that you're talking about, like, the one guy that actually stayed on, like...
Oh, yeah, the lead defender for Jesse, specifically. Jesse's public defender stayed with the 3 boys' cases throughout the whole thing, and he was the only one to do so after the initial trials. And he was with them, fighting for them, till they were released. And I think that that's insane, because they were in there for 18 years, and that was about 19 years of his life he spent trying to defend them, you know, with little to no pay, especially. So...
And honestly, I mean, I don't blame him. Like, from what we just saw downstairs, like, the dude... Like, they found out that the bite marks that were made by... Like, made on, like, one of the children that were murdered, like, did not even match the record of any of the teenagers...
Yeah.
That were, quote-unquote, involved in the murders. Like, I find that insane that like there's so much evidence and everything left on the floor just because of the fact that they wanted to push this through to get somebody convicted.
And throughout all of it, Damien still got the death penalty in the end, which is a really intense penalty for convicting someone of murder when you have no proof. Also, they all had alibis that were pretty solid, specifically Damien, who was at his friend's house and had called 3 other people while he was there. So there were people confirming they had spoken to him when the murders would have occurred.
So wait, are you saying, like, did that actually, did he get off of that then, or?
No, all of the appeals ended up getting denied, and they got out on a plea deal in 2011, way later, luckily before they had decided to lethally inject Damien, because honestly, like, I was glad to know that Damien was still alive, because it would have broke my heart to know that they wrongfully killed someone in the name of justice.
Ay.
It's also, like, just awful to see, like, no matter how heartbroken these parents are, the things they say that they want done to these teenage boys, it's like, that's awful. And I would think that, like, losing your son, you would never wish that on someone else's son, especially when the evidence is right in front of your face that these boys didn't do it.
Okay, but to be fair, it is rural Arkansas.
Yes,
and
yeah.
you can't really trust people to be of sound mind in rural Arkansas.
No, 100%.
Especially
and like
back
with
in the
it being
90s.
the 90s, and it was also like, you know, West Memphis was not a very great place.
Yeah, I mean, I guess for some people, like, that's a place of comfort for them to have a thing that they can point their anger at, but I don't know, it also does feel weird where at the same place, like, their beliefs and, like, the whole point of this trial are rooted in a religion that they believe in,
And
where kindness is the forefront and forgiveness is the forefront of just about everything having to do with said religion that they... So,
right. The irony of every time Mr. Byers is speaking on the documentary cameras, like, to the people for the movie, he's always quoting Bible verses or talking about the Lord, and then immediately talking about how much he hates these 3 boys and how he wishes they would go to hell and stuff. And I'm like, your religion literally tells you not to do that, and you're doing exactly what it says not to do. But what do I know? I only went to Christian school for 18 years of my life, essentially.
Yeah.
So
not like you know.
Yeah.
Ugh,
Anyways,
man.
what are we talking about?
Yeah, what are we talking about? Did you have something that you wanted to share with us today?
I guess so. I got, in terms of Arkansas cold cases, I've got a fun connection to one. The murder of Dana Stidham. She was a gravid teen. So this is Northwest Arkansas, still unsolved cold case. That's actually recently got a little bit of traction in 2018 because they thought True Detective was doing their season 3 on it, but they ended up not doing it, which was sad.
Man, I remember when everybody and their fucking brother and sister were trying to get on True Detective when they were filming here. Yeah, no, I was trying to get on that train too, but I ended up being too busy because of work and shit.
So it's a cold case that still, like, could be reopened. People are really, like, trying to put in a wave to get it to happen.
Okay.
But so this happened in, what was it, like 1989? So, like, well before I was born. So, like, I don't have any personal connection to this, but my dad was a key suspect.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So my dad and her were roommates and, like, best friends at the time.
Oh, wow.
And that was a pretty easy, like, thing for him to...
Yeah, sure. Close acquaintance.
Yes.
Right, like, I immediately would put him on the suspect list, for sure.
She lived with her brother, and on this one it just says a roommate, but that roommate was my dad.
Huh.
And I'm like, that's really fun. And anytime I'll bring it up to him, he's like, I really don't want to talk about that.
Oh, God.
Which, like...
I could understand.
Well, like, now... I mean, I hate my dad now, so it's like, But, like, I mean, I definitely don't believe he had anything to do with the actual murder because he's, staunchly against, like, vehemently... God, how do I word this? If you try to be like, so did you do anything? He'd be like, no, I had absolutely nothing to do with this. Stop asking me. It has been 30 years. I want this figured out. Because Gravit's a really small town. So there's only, like the graduating class is, like, less than 100 or, like, right at 100. So it's, like, a medium-sized town for Northwest Arkansas. But, like, at the time in the 80s, it was tiny. So it was one of those things where it's, like, only a handful of people could have done it. Because this was, like, right after she graduated high school and everything. And everyone's pretty confident they know who did it. But, like, they just never brought it to trial or something like that. So it's something I kind of want to see happen,
Yeah, that's very interesting. I wonder why. Was there, like, could her family not, like, afford to go to trial? Or, like, was there not, like, a lot of, like, evidence to go along with it? Like, I'm curious.
Yeah, that's something I'd have to do more research on, like, because I don't remember off the top of my head, because I never, like, my mom was, like, 3 years younger, so she wasn't really a part of it, and my dad just didn't like talking about it, so the only things I can tell are from, like, when it resurfaced in 2018, trying to, like, get it to re-happen, but it never went to trial because the police could never name a prime suspect or, like, file charges or whatnot. They found her body a week or two after she disappeared, so it's kind of like a lot of the main evidence was kind of
Makes
gone.
it hard, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, she was missing for a while before they found her.
Wow, that's wild. That's really. I guess, like, how long did it take for the kids to get found in the West Memphis trial?
They were found very quickly.
I guess they were children.
I mean, they were children, so they were reported missing by dinner time to the police. Like, my child has not come home, and was with these other kids.
Discovered on, like, the bank of a river.
Well, so initially they searched the entire Robin Hood Hills area. This little forest behind this neighborhood that on the other side of the forest was, like, freeway, gas station, and a Bojangles. So obviously a ton of neighbors and search party teams went out, covered the whole forest area. They didn't find anything initially. On their way back, though, when they got to the creek, they noticed a child's shoe floating in the river. And this one younger officer literally got into the nasty, like, creek bed of, like, standing water, like, where this was, and ended up finding the 3 kids in the river. And I do believe 1 or 2 of them did die by drowning, technically. Yeah, it's a lot. It's definitely a lot. I highly recommend Paradise Lost if you're intrigued by that stuff. The 3 movies are great, and they're a great way to use up some time during quarantine. But if this is not something that you want to hear about, by all means, do not watch it, because it's a lot.
It's pretty graphic.
It's
Yeah,
a lot to
gets
stomach
graphic.
for sure. Yeah.
Ad break, it's an ad. Oh man.
What are we talking about?
What are we talking about? Well, see, now I feel awkward here. Now that you guys have talked about these things, because my topic feels a little bit weird, kind of coming in behind both of these.
Come on, who was it?
No. See, the thing that I wanted to talk about today, not knowing that this would be a murder podcast, was penis piercings.
Oh, I'm down. I'm down, though.
But let's do it anyway. I got it pulled up here.
Yeah.
And you know what?
We love fun, random segues off into completely different sections.
I will
that's
say-
what we're about here.
The only penis piercing I know the name of would be the Prince Albert,
There's
and then
so many.
like the configuration of a Jacob's ladder.
Well, yeah. I mean, we
Yeah.
both know someone personally who has both of those. But
And
three of
several
us
others.
Know him.
Yeah. The reason that I wanted to look this up is because, like, I've always been really curious about, like, oh, hey, look, there's a photo.
Oh, okay, and then there's a reverse Prince Albert.
Yes.
I'm good. God, this shit
Interesting.
just hurts.
One of the most common genital piercings. Ring-style piercing is stings along the underside. Okay. Take me to the history. I want to know about the history. Here we are. History and culture.
Culture.
Many theories suggest that the piercing was used to secure the penis in some manner rather than having a sexual or cultural purpose. In modern times, the Prince Albert was popularized by Jim Ward in the early 1970s
Secure
in West.
how?
So it was like a chastity belt of unnecessary proportions.
Maybe? I don't know.
Like, I'm just imagining you clip it into your belt loop, and
Yeah,
if you get a
and
boner, it's just like,
Oh,
nah,
no.
fam.
Oh,
Yeah.
no. I mean, that'd be pretty effective. Oh, God. I couldn't imagine. Okay,
Or like a
Ward
garter
met
belt.
Richard Simonton, a.k.a. Doug Mallory, and Farrakhan Fakir Musafar. Together, these men further developed the Prince Albert piercing,
Developed.
published a pamphlet in which he concocted...
Fanciful histories of genital piercings. Oh, these 3 guys got together, invented this piercing, and were like, we're gonna make up that it has this fancy history.
Invent a piercing that shares his name in order to tame the appearance of his large penis in tight trousers are widely circulated as urban legend. No historical proof of their veracity has been located independent of Mallory's assertions.
Yeah.
Like many other male genital piercings, it has a history of practice in gay men's subculture in the 20th century. It's become more prominently known as a body piercing. Body piercing expanded in the late 1970s and was gradually embraced by popular culture. Oh, okay, so
So the history's made up.
Yeah, so they made up that it was like a big dick boy thing so that boys would want to do it. And then it became a gay thing later, which cracks me up. Like,
huh.
if you want to prove you're masculine and straight, get your dick pierced. 20 years later, guys, let's go get our dicks
Okay,
pierced.
but the wild thing is, like, there are a lot more. There are 10 different pages on here. There's a lot more than I thought. Like, other than the Prince Albert, there's the reverse, of course, and then there's a
Magic cross piercing?
magic cross piercing, a foreskin piercing,
Yeah, I've seen that one.
frenium piercing,
Those ones suck.
fibula,
Diode?
a
Or dido?
a dido, a deep shaft piercing.
Apadrava and ampalang.
Huh. I've never heard of any of these. Which one should I click on?
I've heard of the frenulum one.
I would like to see the magic
that one's
cross
awful.
piercing
Yeah, me too.
because I've never heard of that one.
Magic cross.
Like,
okay.
I have definitely heard the other ones. Oh, okay. So
Ew.
the magic cross is
Ah.
2 bars across the head, meaning it kind of just looks like you studded the tip of your penis. Like you
turned it into
bedazzled
a
it.
mace.
It's like vajazzling for your dick.
Huh. Okay.
I just can't get behind genital piercings.
I mean, like, I can relate. I don't think I could ever, like, do that myself.
Like, to each
It's a
their own. If
combination
you wanna
of the
do that, that's
ampalong
cool.
and the
But, like,
apadreva.
tougher
So
man than I.
if you get both, you have a magic cross.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Along each piercing, usually done in separate sessions. Some people have them both done in the same sitting. I couldn't imagine. Okay,
Ugh.
that.
I did get all 7
Oh,
of
yeah.
my piercings in the same sitting.
I could do some of them, but like I will say, having
Aubrey,
my
you couldn't
nipples
do any
pierced.
of those piercings.
Well, no, no. But I mean, like having my nipples pierced, having one pierced felt like, you know, when you get a piercing, you're like, oh, the adrenaline makes it so it doesn't really hurt. But then when I got the second one done right after, because I got them both done at the same time, that one hurt a lot more because your body's already had the adrenaline rush.
Oh.
So I think it would be difficult to get both.
Oh, I bet. The amplang, popularized by Doug Malloy. Okay, you know what? Fuck this. I'm looking up who this Doug guy is, because...
You looked at Richard.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
No, I clicked on it. I think
Oh.
that's just another name he went by.
Richard Simonton.
Also known under the
Dick
pseudonym
Simonton.
of Doug Malloy, yeah. Hollywood businessman and entrepreneur known for his involvement in Hollywood community, his rescue of the steamboat Delta Queen, his work on preserving the work and musicians of...
Welty Mignon. Piano rolls.
and founding of the American Theater Organ Society. Among piercing enthusiasts, he is also known as an early pioneer of contemporary and resurging body piercings.
What the fuck?
Strange.
Who would have thought a man born in Evanston, Illinois would be the one to resurge body piercings in the modern era?
So, quite a lot of different things, too.
So when did he start his body piercing promotions?
The 70s.
Let's see.
Oh, well, in 1932, he was inspired by Ernest Holmes, who wrote Science of the Mind and founder of Religious Science, a metaphysical movement. He traveled to India and the Philippines to explore non-Western ideas. His interest in body piercing would have also been considered shocking at the time, as he explored these interests later in life and adopted the name Doug Malloy to preserve his privacy. Oh, so the nickname Doug Malloy came from his secret piercing lifestyle.
Yeah, his family was largely sheltered from his involvement in the piercing movement and in the aspects of gay or bisexual lifestyle newly emerging in the 1970s.
So he was just a really, really kinky dude that didn't want friends and family to know he was a really kinky dude.
Hey,
I mean, it's similar to the way that the couple that owned Circus of Books, a well-known homosexual porn business, they didn't want, their friends and family to know because they were Jewish practicing people.
Yeah.
Like, it would have been a really taboo thing.
Okay, what is this Delta Queen? In 1957, he took his family to a river trip aboard the Delta Queen, 285-foot steamboat that was operating on the Mississippi and Ohio River. Built in 1920s, it began as a California riverboat operating between San Fran and Sacramento. After his cruise, the owners of Delta Queen found they could not keep the business going. Oh yeah. He was so enjoyed his trip abroad that he saved the enterprise, buying a controlling interest from 1957 to 58, with partners including E.G. Quimby. Okay, boring stuff. So
he just bailed him out, really?
I mean, it sounds like he really just went whole hog on all of his interests. Like, he found
that's-
something that he liked, and he just sort of went with it.
It's the way to do it, I mean.
I
guess if I was wealthy and my favorite vacation thing was gonna close, I'd be like, I'll buy it.
Tell that to the Branson dogs.
No. Yikes. I don't know. I don't think anybody should talk to them. I don't know sports. What else are we...
I don't know sports.
The American Theater Organ Society.
He's
What?
a fan of theater organ music, so like only Phantom of the Opera, I guess.
And that one scene from Cats.
It's still an active thing. He was extremely active in the preservation and promotion of theater organs and the music played upon them. His home contained 2 organs, a church-style Aeolian Skinner pipe organ, upstairs, which was dedicated by Virgil Fox, and another theater organ downstairs in the theater, which was equipped with professional recording equipment.
Huh.
That's a weird thing to be into, but I will say, I know a lot of pastors who are really into organs. Like, they see a good organ, and I mean, if you can play an organ and you see a good organ, you basically nut on site.
Apparently.
That sentence could be taken so many ways.
No, I know, but like, that's exactly what's happening. You're just gushing over this organ and how ridiculously well made and handcrafted it is. I mean, because they're gorgeous. They take so much more than a piano.
Okay, a theater organ. I looked this up. It's a distinct type of pipe organ that originally developed to provide, speaking of pipes, music that's sound effects to accompany the silent films during the first 3 decades of the 20th century.
Oh, those ones.
Huh.
Oh, okay. So, it's also known as a cinema organ. So it's not like theater, like theater majors, the shit that we've spent years on.
It's like an organ you'd see like when you think your typical 3
Vaudeville
layers and the top keys as well going around.
Usually identified by the distinctive horseshoe-shaped arrangement of stop tabs. Given their prominent placement in houses and popular entertainment, theater organs' consoles were typically decorated with gaudy ways and brightly colored stop tabs, painted bright red and black and solid gold. Like we said, works of art in their own way.
Yeah. I love that they describe them as gaudy, because, like, sometimes they are.
There are over 7,000 such organs installed in America and elsewhere from 1915 to 1933.
Jesus.
But fewer than 40 remain in their original venues. Though there are a few original instruments in their original homes, hundreds of theater pipe organs, typically rescued from defunct theaters, are installed in public venues throughout the world today. Oh, okay. Oh, and a bunch of them exist in private places now, too. Could you imagine being someone in that family where, like, you go to your grandma or grandpa's house and you have this, like, giant-ass organ that's just painted, like, gold and red and black all over, just sitting in their fucking living room. It hasn't, like, moved in 30 years. Like, that's a talking piece.
But then just imagine, like, your grandpa's on his deathbed and you're like, Grandpa, is there anything you want to tell us? And his last words are, I invented the dick piercing.
And you're like, you never...
You're that's what?
You started it? Grandpa, I have 5. I had no idea.
Could have bonded.
Deathbed bonding. Nope, that's the title.
Oh,
that's the title.
That's so terrible.
That actually really reminds me of this weird series of, like, detailed knives that my dad would get as presents from, like, a local jeweler back in town. So they were whalebone knives. Like, they were knives that were specifically, like, cut down, shaved down from whalebone and were, like, super detailed. They had, like, gold trim on them. Like, they were so freaking fancy. They were not strong enough to be used as actual knives. They were 100% decorative.
But were they legitimate whalebone?
Yes.
They're either hella illegal or hella expensive.
Well, here's the thing. Not only was it real whalebone, it was actually made of the whale dork, which, if you do not know, the whale dork is the scientific term for its penis.
Yeah.
So,
well,
like,
the bone that
your
supports
dad collects whale penis bones?
Knives.
well,
Dude, that's gay.
Don't tell him that. Like, could you imagine, like, taking the bone that supports the largest mammal's penis and whittling that down into, like,
I mean, Jeffrey
Yeah.
Dahmer used to wear people's faces as masks. I don't think a whale penis bone is that weird.
Fair.
I definitely do get it from that perspective, but, like, maybe there must be, like, some specific quality to the dork. It must be, like, the hardest part of its body. I don't know, like, I mean, considering the kind of work it'd have to do, like, for a whale, like, I mean...
I don't know. I don't imagine whale sex is all that hard. They're kind of buoyant. They just gotta, like, dock on each other and ride the waves.
I actually believe what
Yeah.
they do is... I've looked this up before.
You've heard it here. Mason watches whale porn.
I don't watch it. I just research it.
Yeah,
There's
because
a
that's
stark difference.
normal.
No, and I think I actually looked it up because of these knives that my dad owns for some fucking reason. Whales straight up are the ultimate homies, the ultimate wingmen. Because how you have to have sex as a whale, how it works is, like, the female, like, is on top, and then the male is, like, basically just parallel, like, flipped upside down underneath her, and they press up against each other. But since they are so buoyant, they need someone to steady them. So a third-party whale will come up and, like, balance underneath the dude whale to help him, like, stay where he needs to be so he could get it in. Talk about a wingman. Like that, I could not...
Something I couldn't do for my homie.
Sounds like you're not a good homie, then.
I mean, I love my homies, but, like, I don't want to have to hold them up while they have sex with someone. I mean, I don't know about you. Maybe you do want to do that.
I don't want to do it, but I will do it.
I mean, if they really need it, I'll do it. But
I
really
expect them to do the
not.
same for me, though.
Yeah.
Either way, that's... You know, I didn't even know that I remembered that. That is a weird piece of knowledge that had just got dug out of the depths of my brain. I'm glad that I got to share it over a live feed. A semi-live feed. And by semi, I mean not at all. And by not at all, I mean we recorded this ahead of time, and I probably posted it within the next 2 days, unless something terrible happens.
But I tweeted about it.
Crossing our fingers. Getting into all this stuff, like, that is one thing that I super am not looking forward to doing, for when it comes to, like, signal boosting and stuff like that. Because, I mean, like, you know, that's something that everyone eventually has to think about. Like, you know, we're doing this for fun now, but eventually, you know, I want to try to push this out and try to, like, get the word out, because, you know, it's a fun thing to share. Like,
yeah.
We enjoy what we're doing here, and we want to share that with as many people as we can, but I just don't want to fuck with Twitter. I just don't. I really don't.
Oh, no. I totally understand. I haven't had a Twitter since Twitter was, like, created, and then I quickly decided I don't really like the social media format. And seeing what Twitter has become now, I'm like, I'm good. I am so good on that.
I literally only created a Twitter because someone created a fan page for me in college. And I had to follow it. I was like, I gotta know what's going on. And then they fucked it up, and I was like, okay, well, now I'm just gonna follow porn. So my Twitter feed is nothing but Black Lives Matter and porn.
Hey, you know...
Hey, as it should be.
Both important things.
Well, since Tumblr got taken down, where else am I gonna look this shit
That
up?
was a real shame about Tumblr. I thought that Tumblr was just really doing what... I liked it. Like, Tumblr was really the social media that I grew up with as a teenager. That was my kind of, like, safe space, I guess, so to say. Like, the place where I felt comfortable. Because it was a way that I could connect with so many other people like myself, interested in the same things. Whereas, like, you know, in my school and going to, like, a religious school, there weren't other teenagers like myself, really, that were into the same kinds of things, like anime and horror movies and not being religious.
Sacrificing to the pagan gods.
Yeah, you know, pagan god sacrifices. There's just not enough kids that are into it these days.
Especially in Catholic school.
What a shame. Okay, so I never thought that I would ever do this, but for some reason, well, I never post on Twitter ever with my account, like, but apparently I never deleted any of my old stuff either. So I now have pulled up the original posts, the original things that I posted on Twitter back in August of 2013. Oh no. I remember doing this. Like, I had a friend in school who had pressured me to, like, get an account and, like, try to post something, like, every day if I could. And
look at you,
I don't know
susceptible to peer pressure.
Oh, you know, like none other.
You know it.
First tweet I ever put out. Here we go. Having a lazy day with some buddies. # Disney movies. You know, that could be worse.
Yeah.
Oh, God. I hate lines. Why do I even need these textbooks right now? Was I in line to get books in my high school? Probably. Okay.
I would like to do a dramatic reading of some of the rest.
All right.
I mean, I just now tweeted whale porn exists. I'm ashamed.
This one's from August 13th, 2018. First day of school. So close, I can almost smell it. It smells like new books and a lot of Axe spray.
I had my time. Oh, man. There's a good chance I could have deleted some of the more embarrassing ones.
My sister is about to show some people who is boss on the volleyball court. Good luck, sis. #BomberFest. Concerned?
Pretty sure that's the only game I ever saw her play, and I don't think that they scored a single point.
Some of these tweets are just so specific, like, my uncle is finally here. Hope you enjoyed the 6-month submarine trip, Chris. I'm like, what? I can't believe rehearsals are almost over. What am I gonna do with my life afterwards? Hashtag theater kid probs.
Oh my god.
All right, I'm taking my phone back now.
Oh, I've had to.
That was
I get a
gross.
Facebook notification every time it's like a post from like so many years ago, and I've had to delete so many from middle school that I'm like, why did you ever post this? It doesn't even make sense.
Hey, it's obvious that none of us really knew what we were doing with social media back in the day. I definitely, I'm looking at all this and I'm definitely seeing that it's very implicative of the fact that people that live in Mountain Home really don't seem to think that anything outside Mountain Home exists.
So it's like, of course everyone would know your uncle took a 6-month submarine trip. Why
Yeah.
wouldn't they?
because I told all of them myself.
Yeah.
That's who'd be looking at it, I guess.
I mean, wasn't the biggest thing to happen to Mountain Home the fact that y'all got a golden corral, like, eventually?
We got a Golden Corral?
Yeah.
Whoa, dude, you're stepping up, moving up in the world.
Dude, I remember when everyone was flipping their shit so much when there were rumors that a Chick-fil-A they had like bought some property in Mountain Home and we're gonna like go there and we'd have a Chick-fil-A. Like, oh my god, I remember the first trip I made to Fayetteville now too. Like, we were freaking out about the fact that there was a Chipotle and we could get food from that Chipotle.
Right?
Like, oh my, the things that seem precious, like, I'm realizing that it's probably a good thing I got out of that town when I did.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, I believe that's gonna do it for this time. Us.
It's gonna do us good.
I brought lube.
Well, fuck, I brought lube too.
Oh, I have some in my purse.
That's all, folks.
Wait, is yours water based?
Look for our lube review coming soon.
Oh, I would actually love to do that.
Okay, I'll go.
This man has a bowl that has M&M's, peanut M&M's, Skittles, yogurt-covered Skittles, and Reese's Pieces in it. And that's just like, that's murderer qualities.
I did not kill those 3 kids.
We're not on that yet.
Not there yet.